All right, welcome back here to the Hill on NewsNation. So as he confronts criticism of civilian deaths by airstrikes in the Gaza town of Rafah, Benjamin Netanyahu is defending Israel's actions. The Israeli prime minister speaking today with Morgan Ortagus.
We're going out of our way, as no government and no army in history has done, to minimize civilian casualties, using millions of text messages, leaflets, phone calls to tell civilians go out of harm's way while Hamas keeps them in harm's way.
Netanyahu spoke with Morgan for her Sirius XM show. Morgan was also the former State Department spokeswoman, friend of the show, as you might know as well, and she joins us live at 1:30 in the morning local time in Tel Aviv. Morgan, we appreciate it. I know that you know that. Fascinating interview that you had today with the Israeli prime minister. Tell me about it right off the top. I wonder sort of what your main takeaway was being in the room with him and speaking with him.
Well, I've been in the room with Bibi Netanyahu many times. And by the way, thank you for having me on the show. And it's never too late for The Hill on NewsNation and for Blake Berman. But I've been with Netanyahu many times over the years, and I will tell you, both he and Ron Dermer, one of his longtime senior advisor and ministers, were really inflamed over the issue of the ICC, the International Criminal Court. That's actually not what I expected to come to Israel and talk about. I thought it would be perhaps over this Biden-Saudi-Israel peace initiative that's in the news, but they are obviously still very inflamed over the charges from the International Criminal Court, and especially the news that leaked out yesterday saying that the Biden administration was not going to support bipartisan sanctions against the ICC. So just for a little context here, in the Trump administration under Mike Pompeo's State Department, in which I served, we sanctioned the ICC when they tried to come after our troops who had served in Afghanistan. So we took a tough stance against the ICC, and it looked like definitely Republicans were going to support sanctions against the ICC, and it started to look like Democrats were as well. The Biden administration had harsh words for the ICC after the surprise announcement that they were going to go after Bibi Netanyahu and Gallant, the defense minister, and potentially others. That was walked back yesterday by the Biden administration, and the anger was palpable today in Israel.
So I want to show, we played some of your interview there with the prime minister on this point of the ICC. Here's what he told you, and we'll speak on the other side.
The United States said that they would, in fact, back those, in a bipartisan way, back the sanctions bill that threatened not only Israel, but threatened America. Now, you say there was a question mark. And frankly, I'm surprised and disappointed, because I think it's to the detriment not only of Israel's interest, I think it's to the detriment of America's interest.
Morgan, we've been following, as you know, sort of the political pickle for President Biden, a Democrat trying to hold on to his base with this Israel issue during an election year. You heard a little bit of frustration there from Netanyahu with Democrats. I'm wondering what you may or may not have picked up on as it relates to his relationship right now with the president and sort of how he views our politics right now here at home.
So we didn't get into the politics as much, Blake, but they did say to us unequivocally, and this was said in at least one, if not two meetings, that the Israelis, the Netanyahu administration, believe that the Biden administration is slow walking the military aid. There were accusations of that, and then the Biden administration said no, they were not. But you know, in my meetings and discussions, they did say that they believe they are slow walking the aid. Senator Lindsey Graham did a press conference here in Israel where he spoke about that as well. So to me, that was a takeaway. That's not something that I've seen in the news lately, Blake. That was something that I thought the Biden administration had walked back when they indicated that they may slow walk the military aid. But certainly Netanyahu and his war cabinet feel like it is being slow walked.
A story in the Wall Street Journal in the recent days, the Biden administration is pressing European allies to back off plans to rebuke Iran for advances in its nuclear program. What did he say to you about our posture right now with Iran?
Yeah, so Bibi Netanyahu has a long history on the Iran file. He very famously lobbied against the JCPOA, which was the Iran nuclear deal in the second term of the Obama administration. And so he has a stance against the Islamic Republic of Iran that was probably similar to one that we took in the Trump administration at Mike Pompeo's State Department. So the report that you referred to essentially said that the Biden administration was going to what we call the E3. So that's the Europeans that are signatories to the JCPOA, the British, the Germans, and the French, and telling them, hey, wait, guys, let's not take a hard line against Iran at the IAEA. And that, of course, inflamed Netanyahu. He was very passionate on that subject. I think that's going to get a lot of Republican senators and people on the foreign policy right upset as well, because we know that Iran is closer than ever to a nuclear weapon. And one of the things that I worry about, no matter who is elected in November, Biden or Trump, Blake, they're going to have to deal with a range of very bad options on Iran, because Iran very may well try to break out between, from a nuclear weapons perspective, between November and January. That could be something they pursue. But either way, there's a short list of options for dealing with an Iranian nuclear weapon, and it's not one that anybody is going to like.
Morgan, I think we spoke to you last week from the southern border. Now you're in the Middle East. Where are you going next week? Asia, South America? Where are we going to talk to you next?
Hopefully my baby in Nashville, Tennessee.
I don't blame you. Morgan Ortagus, thank you so much. Great to see you. Safe travels, Morgan.
Thanks, Blake.